Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Ballava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Ballava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jamshadbad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Status Srimad's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18. Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet. Verse 11. That's correct, is it? Verse 11, okay, good. So verse 11. Samam cha kuro mam rajan devavrishtam yata paya apartav api Badram te upavarteta me vibho samam chakurumam rajan devavrishtam yatapaya apartavapi badram te upavarteta me vibho samam chakurumam rajan devavrishtam yatapaya apartavapi badram te upavarteta me vibho samam chakurumam rajan devarishtam yatapaya apartavapi badram te upavarteta me vibho. Devavrishtam yatapaya apartavapi badram te bhavarte me vibho samam equally level cha also Kuru, make Mam, me, Rajan, O King, Devavrishtam, fallen as rain by the mercy of King Indra. Yata, so that Paya, water, Aparto, when the rainy season has ceased. Api, even. Badram, auspiciousness. Te, unto you. Uparvarteta, it can remain. May, on me. Vibho, O Lord. My dear King, may I inform you that you have to make the entire surface of the globe level. This will help me even when the rainy season has ceased. Rainfall comes by the mercy of King Indra. Rainfall will remain on the surface of the globe, always keeping the earth moistened, and thus it will be auspicious for all kinds of production. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. King Indra of the heavenly planets is in charge of throwing thunderbolts and giving rainfall. Generally, thunderbolts are thrown on the tops of hills in order to break them to pieces. As the pieces are spread asunder in due course of time, the surface of the globe gradually becomes fit for agriculture. Level land is especially conducive to the production of grain. Thus, the planet Earth requested Maharaj Prithu to level the surface of the earth, breaking up the highland and mountains. Samam chakuru mam rajan devarishtam yatapaya apartavapi badram te upavarteta me vipo. My dear King, may I inform you that you have to make the entire surface of the globe level. This will help me even when the rainy season has ceased. Rainfall comes by the mercy of King Indra. Rainfall will remain on the surface of the globe, always keeping the earth moistened, and thus it will be auspicious for all kinds of production. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastya Chadesha Tarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchkalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Yes, so it's a little, well, the purport is a little unusual, you could say, very short, and unusual subject matter. The way Srila Prabhupada puts it is that Lord Indra throws thunderbolts generally on the tops of hills in order to break them to pieces and in this way level out the planet. Yes. Elsewhere, Srila Prabhupada describes, I forget exactly where, maybe in 6th canto, but anyway, elsewhere, Prabhupada explains that in the distant past, there were mountains which could, they're people, they could talk and they could do all sorts of things like that, and they could flying mountains. And unfortunately, some of these flying mountains became aggressive. And of course, a mountain is big. And they would fly around, and sometimes they would deliberately crash on top of some place like a village or something of that sort, and destroy everything and kill the people. And this, of course, this is not very nice at all. It's very bad. So therefore King Indra would, as Prabhupada says here, come and throw thunderbolts on the tops of hills. And what he would do, as Prabhupada describes it elsewhere, is he would basically decapitate those flying mountains, or mountains, say, cut off the top, and then the mountains would just stay there and just be there. Yeah. This was a punishment for them harassing the people. And I mean, in principle, the same idea is here, that he would come and smash up the tops of hills, to flatten them, to flatten the areas so that the agriculture could go on more easily. And important point, so that the rainfall, as Shukadev goes, no, it's Mother Earth, right, is saying that the rainfall will remain there, and not just if there's hills and mountains, the rainfall will just run down the sides and run away. And that's not so useful. But if the rainfall will remain on the surface of the globe, always keeping the earth moistened, then that'll be very useful, auspicious, and just very practical for all kinds of production. Because wherever there's rain, I mean, generally things grow. Out in what sort of, I don't know about, maybe Namibia, but the far northwestern Cape Province, there are areas which are more or less like desert, or at least extremely dry, and just to a large degree devoid of vegetation. But then at certain times there are heavy rainfalls there, and suddenly the whole area becomes luxuriant with different types of flowers, and people go and photograph it because it's extremely picturesque. What's that area called? Anyway, it's some area, it's, sort of mildly famous, and people come even from overseas to photograph the flowers. Get all these, like, I don't know if you've ever seen sort of Free State and Gauteng area, how sometimes, what do they call them? What are those flowers? The pink and white and kind of purpley ones? Huh? No, not proteas. What are they called? they're famous. So famous I can't remember the name. Huh? What'd she say? No, oh, I see. No, that's something else. They're nice too. But these flowers, anyway, sometimes you see these fields. It's illegal to cut them in South Africa. They grow in India also, to some degree, but it's illegal to cut them anyway. Sometimes you see these whole fields just full of these flowers, mainly pink, but also some white and some kind of, what, I don't know, maroony or purplish. What are they called? I should know. I mean, we should all know. General knowledge of South Africa. Huh? Petunias. Anyway, it's okay. Let's not digress too far. But it's because of rainfall. But out in that part of the Northwest Cape, it's quite famous. You know, it's just dry, it's not like a sand desert. There's just like a rocky sort of highly, very unproductive area. But then every now and then it really rains heavily. And all these flowers come up, and it's just ablaze with flowers. And like I said, people come even from overseas to photograph them. So anyway, flowers, of course, it's nice to offer flowers. But the main point is rain. Water is so essential for life, or is just essential, just plain essential for life. And it has amazing effects. But you've got to catch it. Otherwise, if it rains on a hill or like here, it rains and it just runs off to the sides. And it's not really very useful. But Mother Earth here is making the point that by the arrangement ultimately of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all this rainfall which comes, if it rains on flat, level areas, then it doesn't just run away and just sort of become wasted, you could say, in the sense of productivity. But it sits there and things grow. And in this particular case, agricultural produce grows. Grains grow and vegetables and so on and so forth grow. And these, when there is abundant production of these useful types of plants, then humanity, there's so much, no shortage for human beings, and there's plenty for the animals too. Yes. So this is the idea here that Maharaj Prithu should take some action to make the planet flat, or flatter at least. It doesn't really, I mean, he's not like Lord Indra. He can't go with thunderbolts and knock the tops of mountains to make things flat. But anyway, he should do something to level out ground as much as possible. Yeah, and we see in some areas, in parts of America, in parts of this country, in parts of this country, if you've driven around a bit, you see, some areas are really quite flat. Prabhupada, I don't know if I've seen it written, but I've definitely heard it said, that Srila Prabhupada was being driven once in sort of central United States or something of that sort, someplace like that. And there were, we have them also in the Free State. When you're driving, if you drive up to Johannesburg, sort of from Harrismith or around there and going a bit north, you get these mountains, but the tops have been cut off. I'm sure you must have seen them. They got flat tops. Srila Prabhupada reportedly was being driven through such an area in the United States, and reportedly Prabhupada commented, seeing one of these mountains with this flat top, Prabhupada commented reportedly, as I've repeatedly said, Shri Giri Govardhan Shri Radharatna Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Yeah, so reportedly, Srila Prabhupada said that these mountains, or this mountain, used to fly, but Lord Indra cut off its top and including its wings because it was like a rogue mountain. These were rogue mountains, and they would do, as we said, crash on top of people and on top of like settlements. So reportedly Srila Prabhupada said that, and certainly here literally Prabhupada does say that thunderbolts, Lord Indra throws thunderbolts on the tops of hills to break them to pieces, and then in this way the planet becomes leveled out and suitable for agriculture. This might sound a little, extraordinary to us. Or we can imagine just your average person, not a Hindu, even a Hindu maybe, but certainly, other groups of people coming in and hearing about things like this. Mountains having their heads cut off by someone with his thunderbolts, and they would really question what's going on here. But as devotees, we should accept this. I mean, when I first read that, I accepted it. I didn't really think, what is this? I would say, accepted it. Have you accepted it now you've heard it? Sort of, more or less. But this accepting, it's not exactly mentioned here, but this mood of accepting what's there in Scripture and what's there in the words of the great devotees, even though these things may contradict or, just seem fantastic according to our experiences in life. Well, that's one of the qualifications of a devotee, that the devotee is able to accept these things coming from authorities. There's a very interesting part of Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. Maybe it's I think it's chapter 7. That's Lord Chaitanya meets Prakashananda Saraswati, isn't it? Adi Leela 7. I think so. Anyway, it's in that part where Lord Chaitanya points out to Prakashananda Saraswati himself that you people, and you personally, the philosophical foundations of what you accept as reality, impersonalism, this is all based on what Vyasadeva has said. It's all based on that. That's the foundation for sure. Lord Chaitanya says that. But then, what you people do, you go through those things, all of which Vyasadeva has said, but you reject certain parts and you accept other parts. Particularly you reject parts which are like quite openly personal. talking about the absolute truth as being a person, you reject all that because you are impersonalists. You are focused on the impersonal. So you reject all those things coming from Vyasadeva, and you accept all those things which are presenting impersonal viewpoints. So what does that mean? Well, what it means basically is that you become the authority. Vyasadeva is no longer the authority, and you people, you are now the authorities on what is reality, what is life. Yes. So, that's an extremely important point. Just picking and choosing from what Vyasadeva has said, picking and choosing and rejecting. Definitely rejecting quite a bit actually, of what Vyasadeva has said. So therefore it's the truth, whatever you are saying is the truth, is what you accept and you're presenting, not really what Vyasadeva is presenting, it's what you're presenting. It's a very interesting point. And even it happens in some Vaishnava circles, like Madhvacharya, who's actually in our line, basically, he has rejected certain parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's rejected, like, I think Krishna stealing the cowherd boys, Lord Brahma stealing the cowherd boys and calves, doesn't really accept that. In their versions of Srimad Bhagavatam, that chapter is removed because Brahma is the head of our sampradaya. So how can we accept that the head of our sampradaya does something, which is like anti-Krishna? It couldn't be, at least they think. But of course for us, our philosophy is achintya bhed abhed tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference, or really simultaneous difference and oneness. Achintya bhed means difference, and abhed means difference, non-difference. So that's our philosophy. So therefore we can accept if Krishna does something which, or Lord Brahma, the head of our sampradaya, or Krishna for that matter, does something which appears not to agree with our understandings of what's right and wrong, or what could be true, what would not be likely to be true, then we can accept it. We can accept it. But even people like Madhvacharya, they can't accept certain of the things in Srimad Bhagavatam, like what this idea of Lord Brahma stealing the cowherd boys and calves, because it minimizes Lord Brahma, or Lord Brahma chasing his daughter due to being physically attracted to his daughter. This again, the head of our sampradaya, is very difficult for them to deal with, so oftentimes they don't deal with it. But we can understand. At least we have the opportunity. Srila Prabhupada's presented these things so nicely to help us deal even with these very tricky and difficult points which others can't deal with. Yes, so, next time you drive up to Johannesburg, I assume we'll all drive up sooner or later, sometime or other. Or even if you drive around, around Lesotho, you know what I mean? From Harrismith, go around to Senekal, and then go south to go to Cape Town. Are you with me? Geographically. Then you get a lot of that. You get some of that also. These mountains, or, they're flat on top. Yes, so many materialistic people would just not be able to deal with that at all. But for the devotees, they can deal with it. Anyway, whatever King Prithu, here he is being advised, you could say. You could say instructed, but it's more like advice because it's Mother Earth speaking. Level the planet. How he's going to do it, I'm not sure, but anyways, parts of the planet are level, like in the central United States, in this country centrally to some degree, and in Russia, there are all these pretty flat areas, which they're very good for agriculture, as long as you get enough rain. If you don't get enough rain, nowhere's good enough. Nowhere's any good for agriculture. So yeah, it looks like King Prithu, maybe even, like central India, a lot of central India is flat, although there are mountains here and there. So it looks like he didn't really flatten everything. Yeah, but he flattened quite a bit. And those flat areas are excellent for growing things as long as there's rain. If there's no rain, they turn into deserts. So yes, these things are discussed here, and we can just mention regarding the mood of of a devotee, like a good devotee, very straightforward devotee. There's the very famous story of Narada Muni and the cobbler. I'm sure you heard that story. Narada Muni and the cobbler, the shoemaker. You familiar with that one? And the Brahmin, the proud Brahmin. You remember that one? You've heard that one. Famous story. Narada Muni on the way to Vaikuntha meets a cobbler, and Narada tells the cobbler, I'm on my way to visit the Lord, and would you like me to ask him something from you? And the cobbler says, yeah, could you ask, will I ever go back to Godhead? And Narada Muni carries on, meets one very proud Brahmin, very ritualistic and so on like that. And he asks them, same thing, should I ask the Lord anything on your behalf? And the Brahmin says, yeah, could you just ask him when I'm going back to Godhead? I know it'll be soon because I'm so qualified, but could you find out when? Because I want to tie up a few loose ends before I have to go. So Narada goes and meets the Lord and puts these questions to him. And the cobbler's question, will I ever go back to Godhead? Because he was a devotee. He's fixing shoes, but he's just chanting all the time. Just all the time. And the Lord said, he's such a sincere devotee, he's going to come back to me at the end of this life. But that Brahmin, even though I'm God, even I don't know when or if he'll ever go back to Godhead. And Narada Muni was a little puzzled. And the Lord said, if you want to understand why I say this, when you meet them, tell them that when you were with me, I was busy threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. See how they react, and then you'll understand why I've said what I've said. So first he met the Brahmin, and he told him that, the Lord told me that even though he's God, even he doesn't know when you're going to go back to Godhead or if. And the Brahmin became very arrogant and said, that can't be true. You can't have seen the Lord because I'm so qualified. He would have told you that I'm going in a week or a couple of weeks or something. So get out. And then he told the cobbler, oh no. And then Narada said, well, you know what the Lord was doing when I was with him? He was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And the puffed up Brahmin said, what? That's ridiculous. Elephant through the eye of a needle, that's impossible. You're a nonsense, get out. So then he went to the cobbler and told him, yes, Lord says you're coming back at the end of this life. And Narada said, but by the way, you know what the Lord was doing when I was with him? He was busy threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And the cobbler devotee said, really? That's wonderful. My Lord is so wonderful. An elephant through the eye of a needle, that's just great. And Narada said, you believe me? You believe this? And the cobbler said, sure. And he was sitting doing his shoe fixing under a banyan tree, and a banyan seed pod had fallen, was there on the ground. Seed pod means you open it and you see it's full of seeds. Just a little thing, like a couple of centimeters across or something. But there's hundreds of seeds in there. And the cobbler said, look, see, here, you see all these seeds? Each one is a banyan tree. There's just a little time separating. But effectively you can say, each one is a banyan tree. Hundreds of huge banyan trees. Each one is bigger than an elephant. So, to put one of these little seeds through the eye of a needle, no problem. So he actually understood how it could be that the Lord could be threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And it actually made him very happy rather than make him angry. So, when we come across these types of things which certainly would make some people think that this is just mythology and some, stupid old fairy tales. But the devotees know. The devotees can appreciate that our Lord can do anything, so whatever it says he does, he can do, no problem at all. And it's not questionable, but it's glorious. So Prithu was requested to break up the high land and the mountains and level the surface of the earth. He must have done it, at least to some degree. He must have done it. He wouldn't just sort of, not bother. He must have done it. And therefore there are many flat or flattish areas which are good for agriculture. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any comments? Questions? Loud and clear, please. My left ear is traditionally blocked. Can't hear properly.
Hare Krishna. So as you were talking, I was thinking about Table Mountain is flat on the top.
Oh yes,
yeah.
It's flat. I went up there once.
So maybe Prithu Maharaj flattened it.
Maybe. Or else Lord Indra did.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, why not? Yeah. I went up there in 1972. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Interesting point. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Or you want to say something else? You can. do something, either put it down or say something. Is there someone else? Oh, there is. No, there isn't. Okay. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.